Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Pastyatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare. You're clapping too fast. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Kala Chandi Radha Kala Chandi Shri Radhe, Jaya Jagannatha Jaya Baladeva, Jaya Subhadra Maya, Jaya Sudarshan Chakra, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Gaura Haribo, Haribo, Nitai Gaura Haribo. Shri Shri Harinam Sankirtan ki, Jagannath Baladev Subramani ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.
Okay.
Krishna Maharaj.
I'm just going to stare at you because you're staring at me. Someplace to plug this in. I don't know. Put it wherever you like. Oh, thank you.
Romapada Maharaj ki jai.
Okay. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesa Sunyavadi Paschachade Satadine Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare. Now these little documents were meant to be circulated digitally. You can have a copy, that's okay. But in case you don't want to read them now, because I'd like you to pay attention now and read them later. And that's why they were supposed to be circulated digitally, so you could read them later at your leisure. But you have a printed copy, you can read a printed copy later. Okay. I was asked for this visit to speak some of the topics that were covered during our visit to Haridwar. And some of us made it to Badrinath, but some of us didn't because of mudslides and all that. One group of devotees went by bus and they got stuck because there was a mudslide. They were in the bus for 28 hours and they had to go back. Poor guys. But some made it all the way to Badrinath, then Kedarnath and Gangotri and Yamunotri. They had a great time. So sometimes not. But one of the main features in Haridwar itself is the area where the Sapta Rishis have their ashram. It's like central to the whole saintliness of Haridwar. I mean, Hari Dwara literally means, what does Dwara mean? No, it's not on the sheet. I'm asking you. Dwara means, do you know? Dwara mean gate. Dwara. And Hari Dwara means, pay attention, Hari Dwara means the gateway to Haridam. There's a nice verse in Sri Brahma Samhita that gives this hierarchy. The topmost of all the planetary regions is the spiritual sky, and the spiritual sky, the topmost planet starts with a G, Goloka. So the verse goes like this. Goloka namni nijadamni taleja tasya devi maheshu haridama suteshu teshu te prabhava nihitasviyatasya yena govindamadi purusham tamaham bhajami. So it starts Goloka Namni, the name is Goloka. Nija Damni, it's his own Dham. Nija Damni, Goloka Namni, Nija Damni, Tale, like a tummy, a platform. Tale Chatasya, then the different planetary regions, Devi Dham, and above Devi Dham is Mahesh Dham, the abode of Mahesh, the abode of Lord Shiva. It's in between, it's above Devi Dham, but it's below Haridham. Haridham is Vaikuntha. And then the topmost of all is Goloka. Devi Maheshu Haridhamasu Teshu Teshu. So, topmost is Goloka. And so Haridham is, the gateway to Haridham is Haridwar. And one of the reasons that it's described like that is go further north into the mountains, because Haridwar is at the foothills. We mentioned this yesterday. No, the evening before yesterday. Haridwara is at the foothills of the Himalayas. And just off in the distance is kind of like, a big mountain range, and here's the plains, the flat area, and then there's the mountains begin. But where the mountains begin, they're not nearly as big as the rest of the Himalayas. They're mountains, but it's the foothills. It's like mountains, but it's the foothills. It's not up and up and up. So Ganga, another name for Haridwar is Gangadwar, because the Ganga comes down. You can see it in Badrinath. It just comes gushing out of a mountain. It's really amazing. It's like there's a mountain, and then along the face of the mountain there's this. The Ganga is just pouring out of the side of a mountain. And then it goes down and down and down, and other streams connect with other streams and becomes really big. And then it comes to the plain, where it's still descending. In other words, it's, the topography is a little lower, but Haridwar, because, so how does it work? This is how it works. Vamanadev, you know who's Vamanadev? Tell me, who is Vamanadev?
The 10 avatars of Lord Krishna.
Yeah. Which one? One of the 10. Which one? What did he do? You can't remember? He was a dwarf, right? Right? Like really short. Dwarfs are really short. He had really short legs. So he went to Bali Maharaj, and he asked Bali Maharaj for some charity. Sure. Well, anything you like. 3 paces of land. He looked at his legs. Your legs are so short. What's 3 paces of land? That's okay. 3 paces of land. Okay. First 2 paces of land, of his first 2 steps with his pace pierced through the covering of the universe, and water came from what's on the other side of the universe? The causal ocean, right? So the water from the causal ocean came pouring down, and it landed in the heavenly realms. But it's from the abode of Hari. That's because Mahavishnu is lying on the causal ocean, and he's one of the forms of Hari, Mahavishnu. So the Ganges is coming from the spiritual realm, therefore it washed the toe or foot of Vamanadev, and therefore it's transcendental water, and it's coming from the causal ocean, which is transcendental water. So it's double transcendental water coming into this realm. So Haridwar is also called Gangadwar, the gate for the Ganga comes. down, 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 down. There's details which we don't need to go into just now, but because this is to Haridwar. And there's a nice place at the foothills of the Himalayas, or where the Ganga becomes really, really big, very wide. Different branches feed into the Ganga and it becomes very large at this place. And it's known, the Sapta Rsis Asrama is an ashram where these 7 sages, we'll hear something further. It's just to give a little background. The 7 sages made their residence here for the purpose of performing austerities. In ancient times, in previous times, previous yugas, it was one of the standard practices of saintly people or holy men to go to a sacred place. Haridwar was one of the favorite places, we'll see as we go along, to go for performing austerities. So, the 7 great sages had made a request. Well, they actually didn't make a request. The streams of the Ganges were coming very, very swift. And to accommodate the 7 rishis who were performing austerities, the Ganges split into 7 streams. It became smaller because it was making a lot of noise and disrupting. Mother Ganges distributed her waters into 7 streams so that the roaring sounds of rushing waters would not disturb their penance. The 7 streams are now called Sapta Sarovar. It's all one Ganges, but it's now divided into 7 at this place. Specifically, the Ganges doing some nice service for these sages. And they have an ashram where they sat. In the same place is a place where Maitreya had his ashram. Now the painting is meant to show the Ganges flowing down, and then there's a little cave, and that's Maitreya's cave. We're going to hear some more about Maitreya shortly. And Vidura, are you 2 brothers? Just friends? Can I pick on you? Sure. It's okay. Dhritarashtra was the eldest of 3 brothers. Who was the next and who was the next of the 3 brothers? Dhritarashtra, he was blind. Then Pandu, was father of the Pandavas. He was next. So he became the emperor when Dhritarashtra, who was blind, couldn't become the emperor. And then they had a 3rd brother. The 3rd brother's name starts with a V. Vidura. So Vidura, Mahabharata, and the Bhagavatam. Vidura was insulted by Duryodhana because Krishna had come to make a peace settlement so there wouldn't be a war. Duryodhana insulted Krishna and did the Duryodhana. Vidura was very disturbed because he's virtuous. And he stood up in the assembly and spoke strongly that what Dhritarashtra, what Duryodhana was doing was very bad, etc., etc. Duryodhana turned around and insulted his uncle, his father's brother, and said nasty things, after nasty things, after nasty things in the public assembly. So So what did Vidura do? He wasn't like he left because he was insulted. He left. He just stood up and left the assembly with the understanding that there's no more service for me here in Hastinapur. Let me purify myself from having been in this contaminating association. I'm going to go on pilgrimage to holy places throughout the land. And so he did. And he went in a big circle, and he ended up in Haridwar. When Arjuna went on pilgrimage, he went first to Haridwar. Vidura ended up at his last place he went. It was a long, he went all the way down and all the way up again and all the way to Dwarka, and then all the way over to Haridwar. And there he met, there's details, but there he met Maitreya. Before he met Maitreya, who did he meet before he met Maitreya? Uddhava. And where did he meet him? He met him in Vrindavan. He met him in a forest in Vrindavan. Uddhava. Forest of Vrindavan, how nice to see you here, Haribol. How's everybody in Dwarka? How's Krishna? How's Balaram? How's this one, that one, the other one? This is Canto 3, Chapter 2. This is Canto 3, Chapter 4. In Chapter 2, he meets meets Uddhava. And in Vrindavan, Uddhava goes into a trance. Uddhava goes into trance. He can't speak because he's just absorbed in thought of Krishna. But he wants to serve Vidura because he's his elder and he's his superior. And he's a cultured Uddhava. He wants to serve his superiors. So he starts to speak about Krishna. And he gets lost in Krishna Katha. And then Vidura has further questions, and he says, you know what? There's somebody vastly superior to me spiritually, and that's Maitreya. And you want to know what? Just before Krishna departed, he said to me that Vidura is going to meet Maitreya. He said to Maitreya. Maitreya was here hearing Krishna's final words also. Vidura is going to find you. So when Vidura heard this from Uddhava, he was like, wow, before Krishna left, he thought of me? How fortunate. And so he went to Haridwar, and starting with chapter 4, because Uddhava speaks 2 and 3, Krishna in Vrindavan, Krishna out of Vrindavan, then he goes to meet Maitreya. So there's a whole retelling, very important. It's one of 2 sections in Canto 3. This is like Bhagavatam overview, where the process of creation, sarga, the process of subcreation, visarga, the process of populating the planets, the universe that Brahma has created. It's like he's retelling of the Bhagavatam. It happens a second time later in the same Canto 3, where Kapila Dev does the same thing with Devahuti. So in this section, as you see on the screen, the 2 are having their discussion on devotional service. And when he completes hearing about devotional service and transcendental teachings from Maitreya, his pilgrimage is over. He goes back to Hastinapur. He meets with Dhritarashtra, and he takes off the boxing gloves, and with his bare hands, he lets him have it. He says very strong thing, because it's his elder brother, and elder brothers are to be respected in Vedic culture, at least. But At the same time, Dhritarashtra always had great affection for Vidura because he knew he was wise. So he let him speak strongly. And he, spoke very strongly that he should, what are you doing? Staying here in Hastinapur blind, your teeth are falling out, everything is ruined for you because you're attached. You're too attached. My dear elder brother, get out of here. Get out while the getting's good. Go to a sacred place and purify yourself. Now this is discussed in Canto 1, Chapter 13. This is what I'm saying to you now. And so what we hear later, he took his advice. He, with Gandhari, left his home in Hastinapur. He went to Haridwar, at the very same place that I just spoke about, these places where the Ganges breaks into 7 branches, Sapta Rsis. And there he did meditation. He was very qualified. He was blind and he was attached, but he was a qualified person. He was doing Ashtanga Yoga like anything, and by engaging in Agni-Hotra sacrifices, by meditation upon the fire element, his body burst into flames, and Gandhari entered into those flames. Right at Haridwar. So it's one of the places where we're discussing this. This place is called Sapta Rsis, divided into 7. This is right in the Bhagavatam, because here the waters of the sacred Ganges were divided into 7 branches. But why? As service to the Sapta Rishis. And just out of curiosity, if you want to know, where did Dhritarashtra go after his body burned in Gandhari? In the Bhagavatam purport, Prabhupada writes, when Dhritarashtra quit his body, he attained liberation only due to his being inimical to the Pandavas, which is more serious than an offense to the Lord himself. So he didn't go back to Godhead. He became freed from the material contamination, that kind of liberation, but not the kind of liberation where he engaged in his eternal spiritual form and eternal service to the personality of Godhead, Krishna. He wasn't eligible for that. Another mention, it's an important mention, of the Sapta Rishis. One of the things they did is when the coronation of Lord Ramachandra took place, all 7 of them attended. They went to Ayodhya from Haridwar, and they personally worshipped Lord Ramachandra and were engaged in glorifying his wonderful transcendental activities. So a little bit of the background. Each time there's a change of manus. You mind if I pick on you again? How many different manus are there in the day of Brahma? You got it. 14. Yeah, you. I can read your lips. 14. And so each day of Brahma, there's 1,000 yuga cycles. Divide 14 into 1,000, it doesn't come to an even number. It comes to 71 in a fraction. And the fraction is there's this juncture between one manu and the next manu. It's called the sandhi. It's a Vedic term. A junction between one thing and another thing. Just like between day and night, it's sunrise. It's neither day nor it's night. It's sandhi. Yasyastri sandhyam. When morning meets the afternoon, it's midday. When the evening meets night, That's another Sunday. So there's 71 yuga cycles for each manu. And a yuga cycle is a long time, times 71 is the duration of each manu. And each time a manu comes in, it's like there's going to be a presidential election. Anyway, Hare Krishna. And when there's a new president, one of the things a new president does is they appoint cabinet members. Right? You know, the department of this and department of that and so forth and so on. They bring in their people to help them run the administration of the country. So the administration of the universe does the same thing. Manu gives laws for mankind, and each time there's a new Manu, he appoints different department heads. And one of those department heads is the rishis, the Sapta Rsis, and this particular Manu, Vaivasvata Manu, appointed 7. And here from Vishnu Purana, the Sapta Rishis are populated by different rishis during different manvantaras, just as Vyasadeva is a post, and each time that one of the cycle of 4 yugas comes, there's a new Vyas, and because Vyas is a post. Our current Vyas is Krishna Dvaipayana Vyas, but they're not all Krishna Dvaipayana Vyas. They're not all incarnations. Some of them just do the service of taking the Vedas that are spread and dividing them into 4 Vedas, etc., etc. Every cycle of 4 yugas, there's a different person. According to Vishnu Purana, the next one, it's hard to believe, but it's Ashvatthama. Wow. Do you know who is Ashvatthama? Tell me something about Ashvatthama. He was the son of Dronacharya, right? And he was a bad guy, right? Ashvatthama? What did he do?
Well, he chopped off the heads of all the
sleeping sons of the Pandavas. Phew. He's a bad guy. He chopped off the heads of kids. And then what did he do?
So then,
Brahmastra, right?
took out the gem in his forehead.
Yeah. But that's just, what Ashvatthama did was he released a Brahmastra to kill the one remaining descendant. Yeah. Yes. That's right. And then Krishna stopped the Brahmastra. Brahmastras are invincible, except Krishna can stop anything. So he stopped the heat of the Brahmastra, protected Maharaj Parikshit in the womb, and then Ashvatthama had a problem. They captured Ashvatthama. They're going to chop him, and he was stopped. They were stopped, and said, "You can humiliate him and send him away." They chopped off most of his hair and left little strands here and there, like some people, like it's fashion these days how they do their hairs. I don't know. But they sent him away. So they sent him away to do austerities, and guess what? After those austerities, he became so qualified that in the next Dwarapa Yuga, he's going to become the Vyas. Whew. Anyway, that's from Vishnu Purana. So the post of Indra, someone is put into that post. And then the Sapta Rishis, they're put in that post. Here's the list. We're going to spend some time with each of these 7. Kashyapa, Atri, Vashishta, Vishwamitra, Gautama, Jamadagni, and Bharadwaj Rishi. What are the Sapta Rishis supposed to do? Some of you may know this. Maybe most of you know this. That below the pole star, Dhruvaloka, there's a number of planets called the Big Dipper. or the Sapta Rishis. Did you know that? Now you know that. So as far as I'm going like this because the universe is structured vertically and horizontally, but vertically, Dhruvaloka is way up there. And the planets move around it, or kind of in a clockwise direction they move. And way up there is the Sapta Rishi planets. So the Sapta Rishi planets are up there, but they also do austerities down here at Haridwar, the gateway to Hari. So what the function that they do in the universe, because they're universal guys, appointed by Manu to help him administer the universe. So they act like chief ministers for the government. They don't do administration, but they're ministers to the administrators. And they uphold the codes of Dharma that Manu gives. So they uphold uphold the principles of Dharma not with a stick or a chopper like Parshuram did. They do just by their teaching, because they're Brahmanas. They instruct and guide kings how to rule according to Manu Samhita and Sanatan Dharma or Varnashram Dharma. Whenever there's a discrepancy, not in an administrative way, in a ministerial way, they step in and try to fix the problem. And very nice understanding at the Canto 8, Srimad Bhagavatam. Have you ever wondered, I used to wonder this a lot, if the 4 yugas go down and 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 down, and the next yuga after Kali Yuga is Satya Yuga, how do you get back up again? You ever wonder that one? It's like a whirlpool. You put something on the outside of a whirlpool. Like the vortex takes it down, 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 down. How does it get back up again? And the answer is Sapta Rishis. That's a service that they do. They restore Dharma. At the end of Kali Yuga, when everything is wiped out, they restore it back to Satya Yuga. That's an important service. They're very powerful personalities. And some of them become Prajapatis. Prajapatis means they take a responsibility of helping to fill the universe with good population. And there's one of the documents that you can look at later, please. There's a document that says what are the names of each of the Sapta Rishis during the 14 Manus. It's like not so critical that you know that, but there's a sheet that says what it says. The names amongst the leaders, at least, amongst the Sapta Rishis. Here, we've been reading in the morning Bhagavatam class from Canto 1, Chapter 9. And it's the prayers of Bhishma Dev before his departure. It's a very nice section. But at the earlier part, in the purport, Prabhupada writes, Brahmaji is so powerful that simply by thinking of a son he can have it. These sons, Sapta Rishis, are known as Manasaputras. They come from his mind. Out of 7 Manasaputras of Brahmaji, and out of 7 great Brahmana sages, Atri is one. So he's one of the Sapta Rishis. Wait a minute. There's a contradiction here, because what does it say in Bhagavad Gita? In Bhagavad Gita, chapter 10, texture 6, which is the opulences of the Absolute. This is Krishna saying, not Brahma saying. The 7 great sages, that's the Sapta Rishis, right? It's right there in the first line, Sapta Purve. The Sapta Rishis, and before them the 4 other great sages, that's the 4 Kumaras, and the Manus come from me. Wait a minute. Before it says they come from Brahma, the Manasaputras, and now here it's saying they're coming from Krishna. Born from my mind, and all living beings populating the various planets descend from them. So there's a digital document that you can read later, please, that explains this contradiction. The answer to that contradiction is everything comes from Krishna, including Brahma and Brahma's thoughts. And so that when Krishna is saying what he says here, it helps us understand the whole of Bhagavad Gita. When Krishna says they're mental sons of his, it means Brahma was born of him. And then from Brahma's mind they came. The cause of all causes. Sarva Karana Karanam. And the document that you should have received, I think we'll make sure you get a digital copy so you don't get confused. It explains it. So now we're going to go through the Sapta Rishis, and they're important people, so that's why we're spending time with them. Kashyapa. He's the son of Marichi. Marichi was one of the direct sons of Brahma. And Marichi was married. His wife was Kala. And he's one of the sons-in-laws of Prajapati Daksha, because Kala means one of the daughters of Daksha. 2 evenings ago, we heard about another daughter of Daksha. Who was that? Sati. So Sati became married to Lord Shiva, and Kala was one of the daughters of Daksha. She married one of the Saptarishis, Kashyapa. Rishi. And Kashyapa was one of their sons. Okay. He, Kashyapa, was the father of the gigantic bird Garuda. So Kashyapa had more than one wife. One of those wives was Vinata. And Vinata plus Kashyapa produced as their son Garuda. This is what Prajapatis have, the capacity that most human beings don't have. They can produce offspring that are not of the same species. Don't ask me how they do it. But they have some power. You know, the gene pool, they go to that direction. They have a power to do however they do. So there's a nice document you'll see shortly on Vinata's son Garuda, and Garuda goes to his father Kashyapa. It's in Mahabharata. Says I'm hungry. We'll hear. He is the father. Kashyapa is the father of Vivaswan and Vamanadev. Hey. Kashyapa is the father of Vamanadev. And these are two sons because one of the wives of Kashyapa was Aditi. He had 13 wives. He was a busy guy. And Aditi was one of the wives. So Vivaswan and Vamana were two of the 12 sons of Aditi. Prahlad was the grandson of Kashyapa and Diti. And he was present at the time of Arjuna's birth. These are just references from the scripture. He had another name, Arishtanemi. So in case you run across that name, Arishtanemi, you know who that's referring to. Kashyapa. And his place of residence is on the northern side of the universe. Now, the northern side of the universe may very well mean, it doesn't say specifically, but may mean the Saptarishi planets. That's where his home is. He does his austerities somewhere, but not just at his home. At Haridwar. He moves around the universe. And that's where he lives. So here's a nice painting of Kashyapa and Diti. And we know this pastime. Diti approached Kashyapa wanting a son at an inappropriate time. He was doing a yagya, and she did the what a woman may want to do when she wants a son, and he said, oh, okay, but you came at an inauspicious time, and so you're going to have a demon born as your son. And so that's what happened. Kashyapa and Diti. And then this other document shows, there's a painting that shows there's Garuda, and Garuda is hungry, so the document that you see, you read later, please. Garuda went to his father, Kashyapa, and said, Dad, I'm hungry. Can you get something for me to eat? He said, sure. There's a nice place. And he told the story of how these two Brahmana brothers cursed each other. One became a gigantic elephant, the other became a gigantic tortoise. And you can read about it later. They were criticizing each other and arguing, and so then one became an elephant, the other became a tortoise. They were engaged in arguments between each other, even in those forms. Just had it in them. They weren't really very so Brahminical after all. And he went to capture them. Anyway, you can read in the document. It's from the Mahabharata. Garuda capturing the elephant and the tortoise. So his father Kashyapa explained to him, how did they get to Garuda? How did they get those bodies? He's looking for, once he captures them, he's looking for a place to devour them, because he's Garuda. And he lands on a branch, the branch breaks, and it disturbs a sage, and so he tries to find a proper place to put the branch, and it's one of those Mahabharata complicated stories. But you have a nice document that explains it, and it's from Mahabharata. So Garuda, the son of Vinita and Kashyapa. And as you may know, Kashyapa was very, very expert at neutralizing poison. So when Takshaka was headed in the direction of Maharaj Parikshit, he saw a Brahmin. Takshaka at this point he had shape-changing abilities, and he was assuming the form of a Brahmana. And he saw this other Brahmana heading for the same place. My dear sir, where are you going? He said, I have the skill to neutralize poison. So really? Can you, I have the capacity to poison, when I take the shape of a serpent, I can burn objects. See that tree over there? And he went and bit the tree, and the tree burst into flames. So now let's see you do your thing, Kashyapa. So he went to the tree and restored the tree back to life. It became a nice tree again, not ashes anymore. Ooh. Takshaka is on a mission to kill Maharaj Parikshit, and he's on a mission to cure the poison. So, very interesting. Takshaka said, when you go there, are you expecting some dakshin? He said, oh yes, of course. Just Brahminical duty. People give dakshin. He said, I'll tell you what. See all these valuables I have? I'll give you a little dakshin for not doing it. Okay. So that's what's in the painting on the lower right. That's Kashyapa. And he's walking away with the dakshin, a big pile of gold and valuables. And then Takshaka assumed the form of the serpent and bit Maharaj Parikshit. It's a little Kashyapa history. So that's one of 7. Next is Atri. Atri, not generated from the mind of Brahma, but generated from the eyes of Brahma, according to the Bhagavatam. And he then later became a father of Chandra, Dattatreya, and Durvasa Muni. That's partial incarnations of the three deities, the Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. We probably all know Durvasa Muni is a partial incarnation of Shiva. The Ashutosh, easily pleased, easily angered Durvasa Muni. And Dattatreya is a partial incarnation of Lord Vishnu. Chandra is a partial incarnation of Lord Brahma. And the wife was Anasuya. Anasuya was a daughter of the same Sapta Rishi we just mentioned, Kardama Muni. Anasuya was the mother, Atri was the father of these three incarnations of the presiding deities of the modes of nature. According to the Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 1, prior to conception, Anasuya was impregnated by the tears of Atri. Doesn't give a description of how they did that, but just that's what the Bhagavatam says. From Atri's tears of jubilation was born a son named Soma, the moon, was full of soothing rays. Lord Brahma appointed him the director of the Brahmanas, drugs, and luminaries. So that's what Chandra does. And the pregnancy was created by his tears. He's one of the 21 Prajapatis according to Mahabharata. So as mentioned in the very beginning, some of the Saptarishis became Prajapatis. Atri was one. And he helped guide Maharaj Pariksit when he was engaging in his activities of sacrifices. This is before the final big mess. So Atri, the description goes, he engaged in austerities for a long time. I forget the duration, long time. And the painting is showing his standing on one leg. That's one of the austerities, but he did others. And in the sky, there's his wife, Anasuya. In the sky, these three personalities. Because he was praying to have an incarnation of the Lord as his son. So all three of them came, well, which one do you want? So all three, please. So on the left, that's the swan carrier with Lord Brahma. And in the center, that's Lord Vishnu on the back of Garuda, and then there's Lord Shiva. Or here's another nice BBT painting. Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. And then the Devas in the background celebrating, this wonderful appearance of the three deities of the three modes of nature, and Atri being completely amazed to see what he's seeing. A little drawing of the three personalities, Brahma, Vishnu, and Shiva. There's Anasuya, again, so there's the three children. Soma was a partial incarnation of Lord Brahma, or Chandra, Soma. Dattatreya, partial incarnation of Vishnu. Durvasa, partial incarnation of Lord Shiva. And Atri had a very important role to play, and I believe there's a document that's in the documents you received. This painting is illustrating, at one particular point in time, according to the 4th canto of the Bhagavatam, Prithu was engaged in austerities, and he was planning to do a horse sacrifice. He had done 99 horse sacrifices. Indra got nervous. Maybe he wanted to take over my post of Indra. So what did Indra do? He stole the horse. But to steal the horse, he appeared in the garb of a sannyasi and stole the horse. What sannyasi steals horses? So Atri informed the son of Prithu, see that? That's Indra stealing your father's horse. Get him. And so he didn't want to get him because he's Indra. And then he scolded Indra severely. What are you doing? You're the king of heaven, and you're stealing horses and dressed like a sannyasi. You're a fake. And he instructed his son again, strongly. So his son got the arrows ready, and Indra left the horse alone. It's right in the Bhagavatam, and you have a little document that you can read. So that's 2 of 7. Vashishta, very interesting person. He was born from the breathing of Brahma. Manasaputra says according to one statement. Now, here's a question, and let's see if you can tell me with the answer. If you don't, I can tell you the answer. It says this over here, it says that over there, and sometimes says another thing over there. What are you supposed to do with that situation? The mind of Brahma, the mind of the breathing of Brahma. So is it this or is it that? And how do you process this? Who has the answer?
Is it possible that, because you initially said that in different yugas,
Yes,
so
exactly.
in one yuga,
Not just different yugas, different days of Brahma.
yeah.
Kalpa Beda is the Sanskrit term. Kalpa is a day of Brahma. Beda means difference, different days of Brahma. Kalpa, Beda. Phew, we got past that one. So there's discrepancies sometimes, and that's one of the possible resolutions of those discrepancies, because they're not just apparent, they're discrepancies. He was a prominent figure in both Ramayana and Mahabharata, which means different periods of time. So he lives a long time, but he lives for the duration of one Manu. It's a long duration, one Manu. There's a great tension. It's big, those of you that know Ramayana, but it's in the Srimad Bhagavatam as well. And in this situation, Vishvamitra Muni was, at that time, he was a king. He was on tour, he came into the forest, and he saw Vashishta, oh, welcome, king, oh, please take bath and I'll have a nice meal prepared for you and all your soldiers. So how is he going to prepare a meal? Because he's off in the forest. But Vashishta had a special kamadhenu, a wish-fulfilling cow. And according to the cow, he just requested the cow make a meal for all these soldiers and Vishwamitra, and he was like, wow, how'd you do this? She did it, like my cow. So he wanted the cow from Vashishta. Vashishta said no. So then Vishwamitra ordered his 100 sons to attack Vashishta. Didn't work. Vashishta, using mantras, checked their weapons, and instead they were reduced to ashes. Which is more powerful, Kshatriya strength or Brahminical strength? Vishwamitra figured it out real fast. So he then went on this quest. We'll hear a little bit more when we speak about him, because he's one of the Sapta Rishis. He wanted to become qualified like Vashishta, so he went through the procedure of trying to become like Vashishta, become a Brahma Rishi. It was lots of distractions. You can read in Ramayana, lots of distractions. So Vashishta was a grahastha. He had a wife, and his wife was Arundhati. So in astrology and in other things, Arundhati is a very celebrated star. Here's the description of the Kamadhenu of Vishishta taking care of Vishishta's needs. Subala was the name of the cow. The text says all of this. So the king decided he wanted to become a Brahmarshi or Brahma Rishi. And so severe austerities on the bank of the Kaushika, etc., 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 etc. Lots of interruptions, but he finally made it. Long story. Very involved Puranic story. Itihasa story. So now Rishi, Sapta Rishi number 4, this is Vishwamitra. He was a Kshatriya, the son of a king, and Gadi Sutta, because his father was Gadi. In the 9th canto Bhagavatam, we find, as a king, Vishwamitra had 101 sons, of whom the middle one was known as Madhu Chunda. In relation to him, the middle one of the 101, all the other sons were celebrated similarly, because he was like special. It's similar to, not the same, but similar to there were 5 sons. Upananda was the eldest of the 5 sons. They're sons of Parjanya Maharaj. So Upananda was going to become the next king of Vrindavan. When the coronation ceremony took place, Upananda was to become the king. He turned to his middle brother, number 3 of the 5. Nanda is the best. So I hereby transfer the kingdom to him because he's Nanda and I'm Upananda. So, similar to Vishwamitra. During his efforts to become a Brahmarshi, he became a victim of Menaka, celebrated event, and from whom Shakuntala was born as their daughter. And then this very strange thing happened. Menaka left both Vishwamitra and the child in the forest. Later, Kanvamuni found the child, raised the child as his child, and she returned back to the heavenly planets. See you later, Vishwamitra, and see you later, daughter. Just like that. Society girl, look at that. After Vishwamitra had become a Brahmarshi, Harishchandra participated in a yagya for which Vishwamitra was the priest, but Vishwamitra became angry at Harishchandra, took away all his possessions, claiming them as dakshin. Vishishta saw that. You can't do this. So they had a quarrel. One Brahmana and the other Brahmana having a quarrel. The fighting became so severe that each of them cursed the other one. One of them said, "May you become a bird." The other one said, "May you become a duck." Thus both of them became birds and continued fighting for many years because of the dispute regarding Harishchandra's possessions. 9th canto Bhagavatam. Who needs all that stuff, right? Just chant and be happy. But sometimes it happens. Even people that are chanting, trying to be happy, they get quarrel over petty stuff. Become a duck. Saptarishi number 5. Gautama, husband of Ahalya. Do we have any Ramayana fans here in the audience? Yes? Yeah, a few. Okay. So, Ahalya was cursed by Gautama and turned into a stone. Because when Gautama was away, Indra became very attracted to Ahalya and disguised himself and molested her. Gautama, being omniscient, or able to understand what his wife had done, at least, when he came back, he cursed her. You become a stone, but you'll be relieved by that stone when the personality of Godhead touches your body. So Vishwamitra knew that. So Vishwamitra, guided Ram and Lakshman to the place where the ashram of Gautama was abandoned. But there was a rock there, and he just placed his foot on the rock, and Ahalya was relieved of that curse. Another detail about Gautama, he is a Nyaya philosopher. Nyaya means logic. Nyaya means logic. Nyaya means logic. So he, as a Nyaya philosopher, accepted that a liberated soul has no consciousness. What? That's not correct. But that was what he was teaching. In the Padma Purana, it's mentioned, apparently he got ironed out, because he mentioned to Maharaj Maharaj Ambarish to regularly hear Srimad Bhagavatam. So he got deviated, but somehow got corrected. Doesn't say how that correction. Gautama was the grandfather of Kripacharya. Kripacharya is a very important person in Mahabharata. And Gautama was the grandfather. Because Kripacharya was a Brahmana, and Gautama was a Brahmana, and he's in his line, directly in his family. Prabhupada writes, listen to this, in Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila, our family Gotra, Prabhupada's family Gotra, or original genealogical line is the Gautama Gotra, or the line of disciples from Gautama Muni, and our surname is Day. There's Lord Ramachandra stepping on the rock, and from the rock came Ahalya. And there's Vishwamitra Muni, who guided them to come to this place. Merciful. Jamadagni, let's go back. Jamadagni is the son of Satyavati and Richika Muni, and the grandson of Gadi, because the son of Gadi was Vishwamitra, right? That was his son. So, grandson of King Gadi, and the nephew of Vishwamitra Muni. He is the husband of Srimati Renuka. Once he understood the adultery in the mind of his wife, that is, in her mind, she became attracted to the king of the Gandharvas, in her mind. And he came back from where he was doing his midday duties, and he knew the mind of his wife. He ordered his sons to kill her for that mental offense. They refused. So he went to Parashuram and said, kill both your mother and your brothers, because she had mentally committed adultery. So Parashuram, knowing the power of his father, who was practiced in meditation and austerity, immediately killed his mother and brothers. No hesitation. There's the painting. Parashuram, with his chopper, chopped the head of his mother and chopped the head of his brothers. Boom, boom, boom. And then his father became very pleased with him. And his father said, thank you very much. Please accept from me a benediction. Yes, the benediction is let my mother and brothers come back to life, and let them not remember that any of this happened. So Jamadagni was very pleased. So be it. They came back to life. They lived happily as if awakening from a sound sleep. Phew, Jamadagni's a powerful guy. However, later another misfortune came. There was a king named Kartaviryarjuna. Powerful Kartaviryarjuna had how many hands? I think he had 20 hands, 20 arms, something like that. And he also wanted the Kamadhenu, the sacred cow of Jamadagni. Jamadagni didn't agree. And so Kartaviryarjuna tried to do the same thing. He tried to kill his father or take the cow. So instead, Jamadagni killed his father. No, excuse me, Parashuram killed Kartaviryarjuna. Parashuram killed Kartaviryarjuna. And then Lady took revenge. So here's the painting showing the Kamadhenu in the upper portion of the painting, and in the bottom portion of the painting, the sons of Kartaviryarjuna came and chopped the head of Jamadagni. Pretty nasty business. This is Parashuram fighting Kartaviryarjuna. Lots of nice paintings. He's got lots of arms, and Parashuram took care of him. The sons of Kartaviryarjuna, however, remembering the death of their father, wanted to take revenge against Parashuram, but they didn't want to mess with Parashuram, so they went to Jamadagni. While he was meditating, they chopped his head. And the explanation is because of the offense that he made to his wife, to have her head chopped because of a mental offense, he had to lose his head. So don't chop your wife's head. Killed by the sons of Kartaviryarjuna. When that happened, that's when Parashuram went on the warpath. After finishing the sons, Jamadagni, being worshipped by Lord Parashuram, was brought back to life with full remembrance, and he became one of the 7 sages in the group of 7 stars. So there was a discussion about Parashuram, but the focus is to Jamadagni, one of the Sapta Rishis. And he's still living.
How did he come back to life?
How did he come back to life? Parashuram brought him back to life. However, Parashuram brings somebody back to life. That's how he did it.
Jamadagni still lives.
Huh?
Jamadagni still lives.
Well, it's for the duration of Vaivasvata Manu. The Sapta Rishis live for the whole duration of one Manu. Last but not least, Bharadraj. Now, those of you that love Ramayana, you know about Bharadraj. He was the assistant to whom? Valmiki, right? Yes? Come on. Bharadraj Muni was the assistant of Valmiki Muni, yes? Yes. So he is present during the birth ceremony. So he lives for the duration of one of the Sapta Rishis. They live for the duration of Manu. He was a powerful person doing penances on the shore of the Ganges, the ashram of the Sapta Rishis. And sometimes this ashram is called Prayag Dharma Nam. That's another place. Prayag is not the same place as Haridwar, but that's one of the places he did austerities. Some say that Dronacharya was the son of Bharadraj Muni. Not everyone says that. Bharadraj, his birth is described in the Bhagavatam, 9th canto. The chief priest of the demigods named Brihaspati was attracted by his brother's wife. Not good. I mean, even in the heavenly planets, it's not safe. Mamata was her name. And at the time, she was pregnant. Mamata was pregnant. Brihaspati desired to have sexual relation with her. The son within her womb forbade this, but Brihaspati cursed the son within her womb and made her pregnant anyway. Mamata wanted to give up the child created by Brihaspati, but the demigods solved the problem. Now, I don't exactly understand how it solved the problem by giving him a nice name. Bhardrash was the name when the child was born, the child of Brihaspati and Mamata. A son born by illicit sex is called Dvaja, and he was to be maintained by both Brihaspati and Mamata. However, both Brihaspati and Mamata did not want to maintain the child, so the demigods, known as the Maruts, maintained the child, who was later given to Maharaj Bharat, who was the son of Shakuntala, who was very eager to have a son. Pretty messy. Sanatana Goswami and Rupa Goswami belonged to the Bhardrash Gotra, which indicates that they belonged either to the family or disciplic succession of Bhardrash Muni. And we're almost done. This is lots of history. I mean, when I went to Haridwar, I didn't know much of this. Some of little pieces here and there, but because we're visiting the place where the Sapta Rsis Asrams, where I needed to learn about these Sapta Rishis. And so I've been asked to share some of the things we discussed in Haridwar, and this is one of the things we discussed. The Sapta Rishis are said to have performed austerities at the ashram in Haridwar, while they also have their distinct planets below Dhruvaloka. Yes? We mentioned this already. One's their home, the other's where they do austerities. What's the relationship between the earthly Sapta Rishis and their heavenly counterparts? Well, they're the same people. There's a little research on this question in another one of the handout sheets. They were able to move throughout the universe. They're appointed persons, and they did this and that and the other thing in the universe, and they had a residence, and they had a place where they performed austerities. It's quite simple. But there's some other details. I don't even know if I sent out this other document. I think I didn't, but I can do that. Even in the realm of higher consciousness existence, without pure devotion, one is susceptible to contamination of speech, behavior, and consequences. No substitute for purity. And minus purity, supposing you become powerful through austerities or something, pride. And with pride comes blindness. I have this saying, it's not from scripture, it's just my saying. Pride destroys everything good. It's so dangerous. Pervasive danger, pride. So the opposite is humility. But humility doesn't mean tremble and cower and think lowly of yourself. Humility means you don't have a misconception of yourself. That's real humility. I'm the eternal servant of Krishna, period, or exclamation point. And all these other designations are not me. Another lesson, this is the end, final slide. All of these personalities and their lives help us to receive a realistic picture of how exalted and special are residents of the holy Dham of Vrindavan. In turn, we are sobered to aspire for the ultimate goal. So it's nice it's more than nice, it's transcendentally enlivening to discuss the pastimes of the personality of Godhead. The topic that I spoke about before coming here to Dallas was Krishna's childhood pastimes. Braja Leela, Krishna's Braja Leela. And then so this is a contrast. The Braja Leela may seem like there's nice stories or something, but it's not just nice stories. It's the personality of Godhead engaging in loving exchange, raso vaisaha, giving experiences of transcendental rasa to each and every of the associates in Vrindavan in different, transcendentally wonderful and very sweet ways. It's totally otherworldly. And then there's this, and these are topmost people. And look at the things they get involved in. Whew. Better go for pure devotion, wherever it takes you, instead of the potentially, because it's not everybody in all the heavenly realms do all these dirty things, but it happens, and it's shocking. And it's not; these aren't demigods; these are Sapta Rishis. Chopped my wife's head because she had a mental offense. Whew. So he got his head chopped. Anyway, go for pure devotional service. It's an impetus to compare and contrast. Okay, see if there's some discussion. A little different this evening, isn't it? A little different. But that's Haridwar. Yes.
I was wondering,
Our sound man's got a microphone.
So in the lecture, I remember you were saying that the Sapta Rishis, some of them they were fathers of like some of the incarnations of
Yes. Yes.
Parashurama,
Yes.
Parashurama and like Vamanadev.
Kashyap and
I was wondering, and this is like my own curiosity, does any of them have like ties to Nanda Maharaj by any chance?
Any of them have what?
Ties to Nanda Maharaj?
A relation?
Like from Vrindavan? Like a connection? Like a relation?
You get to the key part of your question. You speak real fast, and I can't.
Oh, sorry. I'm so sorry.
That's me, not you. Older people have everything works a little slower. So you got to be kind upon me. Speak slowly. Just to let the key part. I got the first part.
I apologize. So is there a connection between like any of the Sapta Rishis with Nanda Maharaj?
With Nanda Maharaj from Vrindavan?
Mm-hmm.
That's a very interesting question. I don't know of any connection. Why are you asking the question?
Because some of the Sapta Rishis, like they were fathers of some of the avatars. Right?
Okay.
So I was wondering, because Nanda Maharaj and Krishna, they had that father-son relationship. I was wondering if that was...
No. Nice try. Nice try.
Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj. Thank you so much for sharing this
Interesting history.
Yes. Guru Maharaj, when I was at Kailash this summer, there is a set of caves called Sapta Rishi caves. And I was curious if the Sapta Rishi caves that were near Kailash had any connection to the Sapta Rishis near Haridwar.
The answer to this question is two. Who knows if they're actually the caves of the Sapta Rishis? That's one of them. Or maybe more plausible, supposing they are, they can have different places where they engage in austerities, more than one place. They have their residence and they have this place for austerity. They can have multiple places where they engage in austerity.
So I was looking.
Go ahead, keep going.
I was looking for some answers when I was there, and one of the monks over there had suggested that in Hinduism, these Sapta Rishis were the Sapta Rishis who prayed to Lord Shiva. Is there a difference between?
Oh, yes.
Oh.
Oh, yes. That sounds like a local sadhu answer. Because the Sapta Rishis that we heard, they weren't all seven worshippers of Lord Shiva. Sorry. That's not what, because, so we know, especially the Amala Pramana, or the Supreme Court of all of our scriptures, is Srimad Bhagavatam. And Srimad Bhagavatam doesn't give any indication of that. But somebody over there in left field saying, oh yes, the Sapta Rishis were all worshippers of Lord Shiva. That's their bhav. That's not Siddhanta. And therefore, who knows if that's even the place where the Sapta Rishis engage in austerities. Could just be good marketing. Sorry to say, but that happens. Yes. Someone else. Yeah.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for the lecture. So my question is, so you showed us a picture of Vidura and Maitreya Muni.
Yeah.
So my question is, where were the other Sapta Rishis then?
Where was the what?
Where were the other Sapta Rishis?
Well, not that cave, they had their own. And that's just also, it's an artist's conception or depiction of what they know from Scripture, Canto 3, chapters 4 through 20. It's their mind's eye capturing what they hear from Srimad Bhagavatam in that section. Now, it could be right next to them is 6 more caves. I don't know. I don't imagine that's the case, but it could be the case. But the artist was making purposely, because Maitreya was staying in a cave. That's the description. And showing that, if you remember from the background, there's the Ganges flowing, and it's not on the bank of the Ganges, but it's near to the bank of the Ganges. It's an artist's portrayal. So somewhere in that area, there's an ashram for all 7. And they may very well have sometimes gotten together and done things together, and then otherwise they're over here and over there and over there doing their austerities. Exactly what their austerities were, it doesn't describe, but austerities. More you want to add to this?
Have any of the Sapta Rishis interacted with each other in some way?
I was anticipating you were going to ask that question. That's why I said what I said. They sometimes may have gotten together, but we don't have description, so I can't say other than when there's description. Now, one of the things they did together is they went to Ayodhya. And they were in Ayodhya. Whether they traveled together doesn't say, but they were present for the coronation of Ram, and they were honoring him, literally worshiping him, not worshiping Lord Shiva, by the way. They're worshiping Ram and speaking his glories. So there were some things that they did together that we know from Scripture. And likely they did some things together because they're like-minded. But there's not a description that I'm aware of. There may be somewhere, I don't know. Anyone else?
Maharaj, thank you for the class. So everyone in this world, their gene pool comes from the Sapta Rishi, or is there
No, from Krishna.
a... Yes, ultimately Krishna.
Okay.
But in this world, are there any gene pools which are apart from...
This terminology, gene pool, that's a modern, who knows? There's some idea, I have a limited understanding of what gene pool means, but somebody may be a carrier of different genes, and one child may be like this, another child may be like that, another child may be like that, having to do with it's from their gene pool. So I just use that language because it's modern language, but does it apply? Is there a gene pool for the Prajapatis? They have all these different kinds of genes, and sometimes this and so. That's totally speculative. It seems to resemble the model of gene pools for modern circumstances, but who knows? It could just be Shakti without genes, just empowered to do something that's quite extraordinary, and because they have the power, they can do that something that's quite extraordinary. Like this question, how did Parshuram bring Jamadagni back to life? How did Jamadagni bring his wife and the brothers, or his sons, back to life? There's a power that doesn't necessarily match modern science, like gene pool technology or conceptions of things. So the answer is, I don't know. Who knows? It's not within the Vedic texts. It's highly speculative, so I'm not going to go there.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Yes, up front.
Maharaj, thank you so much for enlightening us on the Sapta Rishis. I was just wondering, Maharaj, some of these Sapta Rishis were cause of the partial incarnation of Supreme Lord in different forms.
Yeah, Atri, right.
So, on the other side, on the contrary, they don't have like very illustrious
They don't have illustrious?
character or a lifestyle, or because the Lord appears in the family of pure devotees typically, from what we have seen. So how to understand that apparent
Well,
contradiction?
they're elevated. For Atri and Anusuya to become mother and father of partial incarnations of the Supreme Lord, they're elevated. And they receive mercy from those three personalities. So in what way was he unique? By not just austerities, but I don't know from the descriptions what other bhakti elements were there along with his austerities, but the description, as you saw from the painting, standing on one leg, because that seemed to be like a fashionable thing to do. Standing on his tiptoes or standing up. Dhruva did something similar. So, but Dhruva got bhakti from Narada. That much we know. And where did Atri get his bhakti from? We don't know. But apparently from somewhere. So because the cause indicates the result, or the result indicates, the cause. Somewhere back there, some association with the elevated Vaishnav to have the partial incarnation of the Supreme Lord along with his austerities. But there's no description that I'm aware of.
Thank you, Maharaj.
And Kashyapa, as Vamana as his son. Yeah, that's pretty special. It's not ordinary. Now back to her question about Nanda or Vasudeva and Devaki. So they had saintly, they had Vaishnava association. So again, what was the Vaishnava association of Kashyapa? Don't know. I'm not able to recall any description like that. But one can assume some, because otherwise it's not possible.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Okay. Anybody else? Okay. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.